It's heavy metal time. Here we have what is known in the trade as a Reaver Titan. Of all the Titans in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, I would say the Reaver Titan is my favourite. The Reaver Titan holds a special place in my heart, as I remember looking fondly at the original metal ones back in the day. One day we will get around to painting one for the channel, but it won't be today. This particular Reaver Titan has been painted in the colours and heraldry of the Legio Astorum, also known as the Warp Runners. Now back in the day, the Warp Runners were my favourite Titan Legio, but today I prefer maybe Legio Furians or Legio Ignatum. This Reaver Titan here is wearing the dog type variant head. From what I can remember, there were two different head types. The original wide head version, which is on the current 40k scale Forge World version of the Reaver Titan, and this, the thinner, longer dog head style version. Normally I'm not a fan of doggy style, but in this case I am. I think it would be nice to see this head make a comeback on the new plastic kits, as I always preferred it. Now those flames, or hot rod flames as people like to call them, are actually quite hard to paint freehand. It's difficult to get the tongues of the flames right, shape-wise, and have them look sharp and tidy. The flames done with stencils usually look best, but stencils can also be a bit of a faff to use. Now this Titan doesn't appear to have a base, it's literally embedded into the ground. This gives us two possibilities. They either removed the base for this diorama, or buried it under a load of flock and grass. How do you think they pulled it off? The Land Raiders we see here are not from a Space Marine Legion or chapter, but are from the associated Skitarii, or whoever it is that follows the Titan around on the battlefield, asking it for autographs. Like the paparazzi. This was a thing in Rogue Trader, but it didn't really seem to stick around much longer than that. I don't think we get these things anymore, which is a shame really. Those Land Raiders are painted in the old camouflage scheme that was seen on the original Rhino paint schemes poster. And sadly, we don't see that camouflage scheme much anymore, if at all. But I think it looks quite nice. It's something I'd like to have a go at painting myself one day. Something else to add to the never-ending painting to-do list. This is Sir Touch-a-Lot, a gentleman who just loves to grope and grab, like an evil version of Mr. Tickle. Also, I'm not sure, but it looks like he's had his fingernails removed. Does he have suckers for fingertips instead? That would be interesting. Anyway, so what we actually have here is what appears to be a pink horror, one of Tzeentch's little minions, one of the first versions of that sculpt. This one might even be the original version, you know, but it looks quite big. These days, they look a lot smaller. I'm willing to bet money that you guys are well aware of the properties of Tzeentch horrors. You know what their gimmick is. However, if you didn't know, well, what happens is a pink horror, when dead or killed, splits into two blue horrors. Or is it the other way around? The face of this little horror looks proper cheeky, doesn't it? It reminds me of something you might see in a Jim Henson movie. Labyrinth again, probably. We mention that one a lot on this channel, which isn't a surprise as it's a wonderful movie. This horror has a lovely hat, a crown of horns. No, not thorns like the other famous bearded guy, but horns. A little like Darth Maul actually. I think he was a Zabrak if memory serves correctly. Now something I've never actually noticed on pink horrors until now are those double feet. He has a second pair growing out at right angles to the others. Maybe he's been caught mid-split or something. Do the current models have this same detail? What we have here appears to be some sort of zombie. The zombie of the Nurgle variety. A guy who's massively contaminated with the plague. Like the lads that I used to go to school with. Proper filthy. The body of this guy is 100% zombie. He has that atypical rotting corpse look. The look of the students on our old college bus back in the 1980s. Also, I'm not sure if my eyes are deceiving me or not, but it also looks like he's wearing a dirty grey wife-beater vest, which is interesting. Mr. Zombie has a lovely looking medallion hanging around his neck, a fantastic piece of personal jewellery. It seems to be in some sort of cross shape, probably a riff on the Christian cross, or maybe he's an ex-Black Templar Marine reanimated by the Chaos powers. That would be fantastic. I suppose it could also be a Crux Terminatus, but I doubt it. This gentleman has an absolutely massive bloody red hand. My gut tells me this part was taken from a pink horror. Do you think the blood on this hand is his victim's, or from the weird growths and body horror changes he's going through himself? It's fun to speculate. Mr. Zombie Man is also carrying a heavy bolter like a pistol. He must be very strong indeed. He's got a very strong wrist. Does becoming a zombie actually make you stronger? I never knew. I always assumed it would make you weaker, but able to take a lot more punishment. The zombie's base is half goblin green. On the top is green, and the rim is black. So he has his feet in two eras of basing. Maybe this was from the transitional phase until the all goblin green look took off in 2nd edition of 40k. I wonder what the very first goblin green based miniature actually was. Was it the miniatures from the 2nd edition Warhammer 40,000 boxed set? Or maybe it was the miniatures from the 4th edition fantasy Warhammer set? The High Elves and the Orcs, I guess? Night Goblins, was it? I can't remember. I think 4th edition fantasy was out before 2nd edition 40k. If you know, please let us all know. It might have even come along earlier than that. Before the release of 2nd edition, it might have been a thing that was coming into the tail end of 1st edition Rogue Trader. So I'm not really sure actually. Maybe one day we'll have to look into the history of the Goblin Green base. Now if you fancy chatting Goblin Green bases, or anything else hobby related, then please feel free to come along and join us on our friendly Discord server, which is not behind a paywall. You can find the link to it in the description below, or up here somewhere. We look forward to chatting to you there. I think this filthy, disgusting looking mess of a beast is a Nurgle demon of sorts. A chaos spawn perhaps. Instead of a head like a normal animal, this beast appears to have just a mass of tubes. Are these the beast's intestines repurposed into a face or something? Again, it looks like something you would have seen in John Carpenter's The Thing, and I think it's great. I think I can make out one of the beast's eyes on its shoulder, of all places. My old teacher at high school also seemed to have eyes all over the back of her body like this. She caught me doing all sorts of things that I swore she shouldn't have been able to see. The body of this filthy beast is that of a slug, or octopus, or both. If I had to be slopped on by one of these, I would rather pick the slug, because octopuses scare me a little. I don't like the way they stick on. It might be because of that scene from Life. The beast does appear to have a strange form of locomotion. Its hands. They're out to the side, so I would assume it just drags itself along. Like the dog in The Fly 2. A good, but sadly forgotten movie. There's yet another weird looking pipe thing coming out of the beast's back. It has an interesting red tint to it. Do you think it spews out molten lava or something else hot? A flamethrower of sorts perhaps. It's odd, but I like it. This piece here is known as a guardsman. Is he the guardsman, do you think? Whatever the case may be, it would appear it's his birthday. 7 years old today. Congratulations, Mr. Guardsman. This guardsman has one of the typical Imperial Guard logo badges on, which denotes his company, regiment and/or squad number. This guy looks to be from the 2nd squad of the 7th company, or maybe it's the other way around. I always forget. Also, these badges are so big, they look like those giant happy birthday badges, or the ones from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire that said Potter stinks or something like that. I always loved the old style helmets that these Imperial Guardsmen wore. They also had those built-in shades, which I think look really cool. The idea of sunglasses in the 41st millennium is just so good. The Guardsman also has a red stripe down his helmet, and I think that denotes him being in a tactical squad. I've always been a fan of these massive padded flak jackets that the Imperial Guard wore. They're very basic looking, but they just look so iconic to me. I think it's the chunky and flat look. It's very 80s sci-fi. The colour scheme of this guy here is typical of that we see on a lot of the Imperial Guard of the time. We think this is the scheme of the Necromundan spiders. However, the Arcadian regiments also used the same scheme, and sometimes I get them confused. I always wondered if the spiders were an offshoot of the Arcadian regiments, or again, the other way round perhaps. I don't know. Do any of you guys know? It's confusing. The lasgun the guardsman is holding is that of the Reaver pattern, or Rizzer pattern. I always felt that this pattern of lasgun looked very good. It has a long and slender look, but also has no stock, which makes it look a little odd, which is perfect for Warhammer 40,000. I've always liked the Reaver pattern of lasgun. Whenever I see it, I'm reminded of the good old days. I'm not sure the Reaver would look right on current miniatures though. I think it might look a bit weird, especially with that missing stock. Might look like it's flapping around or broken or something. Another lasgun pattern that I like is the Akatran pattern. I think that's how it's pronounced. The one the Elysian drop troops use. Not Elysian, that sounds awful. Elysian. Anyway, that Akatran one has the magazine behind the trigger. I think they call it a bullpup style. What does bullpup even mean? Where does it come from? I have no idea. Do you even pronounce it bullpup, or is it bullpup? Regardless of what it means, I think all weapons in the bullpup style look great. Now, speaking of things that are great, if you're enjoying this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That means you, Corey. If you are enjoying the content on the channel, then please consider joining us on Patreon, the link to which is in the description below or up here somewhere. Or you could even become a channel member, which is becoming all the rage these days. Again, there's a link to that in the description below. I recognise this chap. It's the dirty old pervert I used to work with many moons ago. I didn't expect to see his face again. So, just from my initial glance, I would be willing to put money on this guy being a follower of Slaanesh. He just has that dirty look about him. The look I recognise in my day-to-day life of working with interesting people. This gentleman isn't wearing a mask or a helmet. He does in fact have a bare head. A bare head with a shed load of black makeup. He has some black lipstick and also some swirly eyeliner about his eyes. Has anyone ever tried this look at home? I suppose if I was young enough, I might spot it at a local nightclub. On the pervert's chest is what I think is an armour plate that's painted the same colour as his flesh. Maybe his armour is sort of becoming fleshy due to his time in the warp. I mean, it is chaos after all. Also, I think that's a boob hanging out there on the left. The dirty man's shoulder pad and knee pad also have this same fleshy coloured armoured look to them. This time I'm pretty sure it's just painted armour and not flesh though. But again, as it's chaos, you never really know until you touch it, and I don't fancy touching a dirty pervert's knees. The weapon this chap is holding is what I think we refer to as a morning star. It's just a ball and chain on a stick. It could also just be called a mace. Maybe they're all just different names for the same weapon. I'm willing to bet there's a historical weapons expert watching who can clear it up for us. Some awesome miniatures there. Which of those was your favourite? If you want to see some more old Eavy Metal, then check out the playlist up here somewhere. And as always, thank you very much for watching.